Will the government extend the state of emergency? A staff member of the House of Assembly tests positive for COVID-19, and the health minister speaks to vaccines and large gatherings. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lissy Bastian with your JCN News for this Tuesday, April 27th. It's good having you with us. With the Bahamas in the midst of a third wave of the global pandemic COVID-19, the government has yet to make a decision as it relates to the course of action it will take when it comes to the state of emergency. The current state of emergency is set to expire on May 23rd. Attorney General Senator Carl Bathel, just before the weekly cabinet meeting, told reporters that some form of legal framework will have to be implemented to protect Bahamians and residents.
What we do know is that the emergency continues, and so the government will, in very short order, have to make a determination as to which is the best way forward. As a responsible government, we have our duty to do everything in our power to enable the Bahamian people.
The country has been in a state of emergency for more than a year, and many have been critical about it. The AG also emphasizes, like his political colleagues, that getting vaccinated is the pathway out of that state of emergency.
When the Bahamas reaches the stage where we've reached what could be termed herd immunity, then we could consider that for the Bahamas, the emergency is basically over. So between now and then, there will be some legal framework, whether it's a declaration of emergency or under a statutory framework. But in any event, rules will have to be mandated to restrict physical contact, continuing until we reach the stage where there is a degree of herd immunity.
The proclamation for a state of emergency was first put into place in March 2020 when the first positive case of the coronavirus made its way to the country's shores. Since then, it has been extended several times as the country's infection rate and death toll has climbed. Well, a member of staff of the House of Assembly has tested positive for COVID-19. Speaker of the House of Assembly, Jcn Moultrie, confirming as much. JCN's news team reached out to Mr. Moultrie for more details on this incident.
I received information early this morning that a member of staff tested positive for the coronavirus. And so I convened a meeting of all the staff members, including personnel from the electronic hands to determine how many staff members may have been exposed to the person who tested positive. And we discovered that from as late, or early, I should say, as early as Monday of last week, the 19th of April, the member had indicated that it was showing flu-like symptoms, and it indicated that they were not feeling well.
According to Speaker Moultrie, the staff member in question had left work on Tuesday and on Friday of last week due to not feeling well. The Speaker then immediately requested that all staff members self-quarantine and those who may be experiencing flu-like symptoms to be tested for COVID-19. When asked if the House of Assembly would be meeting tomorrow, Mr. Moultrie says this.
Now, with respect to the House meeting tomorrow, usually when the House fixes a date to meet, that date is not postponed. But so what has been recommended is that the House would meet to suspend. So it would only meet for the purpose of suspending, because all persons who would have attended the House of Assembly last week, Wednesday, would have been exposed to the member who tested positive, including me, the Speaker. And so I'm in self-quarantine now until May 2nd.
JCN's news team also reached out to Health Minister Renwood Wells, who is leader of government business. However, we did not get a response up to news time. Speaker Moultrie says all staff personnel at the House of Assembly's quarantine period would have began from last week, Monday, April 19th, and will end on May 2nd. According to Mr. Moultrie, Deputy Speaker of the House, Donald Saunders, was out of the jurisdiction and was possibly not exposed to the infected staff member. However, he says he must reach out to the Deputy Speaker to confirm this information. With United States President Joe Biden revealing that the U.S. is set to release 60 million doses of a COVID-19 vaccine, Health Minister Renwood Wells sharing with reporters just before the weekly cabinet meeting whether the Bahamas will receive any of those vaccines from our neighbors in the north. The minister also weighing in on that large gathering that saw a party promoter fined nearly $100,000. Our Laurencia Smith has that report.
Health Minister Renwood Wells says he's not sure if the Bahamas will receive vaccines from the United States. On Monday, President Joe Biden announced that the U.S. will share up to 60 million doses of its AstraZeneca vaccines to other countries as they become available pending safety protocols. Just before the weekly cabinet meeting, Minister Wells shared this with the media.
I'm not sure whether the Bahamas would be a part of the countries that received the donation. But I don't see any reason as to why we would not be. I have long said that the Bahamas is one of 5 countries that sits on the borders of the United States. And so I'm happy to hear the announcement that they are going to release some 60 million doses of AstraZeneca vaccine to countries around the globe. And whether it's by donation or whether it's by purchase, the Bahamas certainly would look forward to being in that queue and being a part of those nations that receive.
The Bahamas received the first batch of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines from the government of India in March. Since then, thousands of Bahamians have received their first jabs. Recently, it was announced that the administration of the vaccine is open to everyone 18 years or older. When asked if the government is concerned about the lack of interest among the younger population, Minister Wells says this.
We probably have an adult population of a little over 200,000. We have we're vaccinating our people. A number of our folks would have been exposed to COVID. We've had massive interest, if I could use that word, in folks, in Bahamians wanting to be vaccinated, really. There was the call for it to be opened up to everyone.
The country is in the thick of the third wave, and in recent days, a party promoter and party goers were cited nearly $100,000. Here's the minister responding to this event.
We are a bold, beautiful, creative, innovative, passionate people who are extremely disciplined when we want to be. We are a people who are extremely disciplined when we want to be. And we can be extremely, I said during the Christmas, and I got in trouble with this with the media, that we need to be naughty or nice. There's the flip side of that as well. When Bahamians are not interested in adhering to protocol, they're not going to adhere to it.
With more than 20,000 Bahamians vaccinated, Health Minister Renwood Wells maintains that the vaccination is the country's way out of this pandemic.
With just a little over 50,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine in country, COVID-19 vaccinations are now only available for Bahamian citizens and permanent residents at this time. The National COVID-19 Vaccine Consultative Committee announcing that due to limited supplies at this time, the administration of the AstraZeneca vaccine will only be to those individuals 18 years of age and over and residents in the previously stated priority groups. If you remember, the government received 20,000 doses of the vaccine through a donation by the government of India, and an additional 33,600 doses came through the COVAX facility for a total of 53,600 vaccines. So far, health officials say more than 20,000 persons have received their first jab. The National Vaccine Committee's statement says proof of citizenship, permanent residency status, or a work ID will be required at the vaccination site. Failure to present the requested ID will result in appointment cancellation. All residents will be eligible to receive the COVID-19 vaccine following the arrival of additional vaccines, which are expected in country before the end of May. This, however, does not apply to individuals who have received the first dose of the vaccine. All persons who have received a first dose of the vaccine will be eligible to receive the second dose. The administration of second doses are scheduled to begin on May 10th. You're watching Jcn News. When we return, COVID-19 cases continue to surge, the opposition repeating calls for free testing, and police on Grand Bahama confiscate $73,000 worth of marijuana. Stay with us.